Hi, welcome to Mumbai for another episode of This Is My Architecture. I am Abhishek Mahanty from AWS, and with me I have Tarun Gupta from MIND Infotech. Welcome, Tarun.
Hi, thank you, Abhishek, for having me here.
Well, it's a pleasure. So, Tarun, why don't you tell us a bit about what MIND Infotech does?
Yeah, MothersonSumi Infotech and Designs Limited is a part of global automotive giant Samvardhana Motherson Group. So we are into IT infrastructure, Industry 4.0 solutions, cloud, mobility, and analytics. And we have recently joined hands with the GSTN network to provide GSP services.
By GSP, you mean GST Suvidha Provider, basically service provider for GST services.
Right.
That's fantastic, and that's what we are going to talk about today, right?
Yes.
Right. So tell us a bit about some of the challenges you faced in your GSP journey.
Okay, so the foremost challenge is the scaling part.
Okay.
Actually, that's what the cloud is built for.
Uh-huh.
So, but by the use of various AWS services, that was not a real challenge for us. The real challenge for us was keeping the cost low. See, this GSP is a highly competitive market.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for that reason, like to provide the services at a very low cost and without impacting user experience was the biggest challenge for us.
Interesting. You mentioned scalability being one of the challenges as well, right? So what sort of scale are we talking about? Can you share some numbers?
Yeah, sure. It's like single transaction to thousands of transactions per second, and that too in fraction of seconds.
Okay, so you needed something which is able to handle, anything from a couple of transactions per second to thousands of transactions per second. Right?
True.
Fantastic. And this is your architecture, right? So,
Yes.
Why don't you take us through it?
Sure. So there are like two sets that I'm going to represent. So one set is related to the business entities, the end users or the enterprise powerhouses.
Okay.
And the second set that the other side you are saying, so that is about the billing administrators or the billing entities,
okay,
which needs data points to based upon which the billing can be generated to the end customers.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. So basically how the flow works is like we get calls from direct customers. So those calls come to like API gateway. So this is via Route 53.
Okay.
So from that, the call goes to Lambda.
Okay.
So again, this is the main scalable part that we have, which can span to thousands.
And this is where the application logic is
Yes,
hosted,
application logic is hosted.
Okay, so you have your APIs exposed as part of API gateway, but the actual implementation is as Lambda functions.
True.
Okay.
So now, since we are talking to government entities, the another challenge comes is around regulatory. So all the regulatory compliances and all that we have to get. So one part was good because of that shared responsibility model. So major part was taken care by AWS. So we have to worry only about the application part.
Fantastic.
Okay. So how we have implemented it, as per the regulatory guidelines, we have to work on MPLS connection. So we established a direct connect. So what happens, so any call that comes to Lambda, that goes to GSTN network over direct connect.
So as part of the API, business processing logic, there's a call going over direct connect to a local data center that hosts the GST network.
Right.
Fantastic. Okay.
So now what we have to do is from whatever request and response we are getting, because this request and response is encrypted.
Yeah.
Okay, so the billing endpoints are there in like headers. So what you have to do is we have to intercept the request and response payloads and log it somewhere in our database.
All right.
So for what we did is this is not a sensitive information.
All right.
Okay, so what we did was like from Lambda, we logged that particular information to CloudWatch.
To CloudWatch logs, basically.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Again, I mentioned because this is not a sensitive information. That's why we are logging it to CloudWatch.
And you need to do that so that you can bill accordingly.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
From CloudWatch, we have created some triggers. So and whenever the billing data is being captured, so what CloudWatch does is it ingests that data to S3.
Okay, and that's your data repository.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Right.
Okay. And then this is where the billing side of things kick in.
Right.
Okay, so take us through this.
Right. So what happens, so billing administrator, again, comes to like API gateway. From API gateway, again, to Lambda.
Okay.
From Lambda, what we are doing is we are calling Athena.
Okay, so that's an interesting choice for your querying service. So you're using serverless for compute and you're using serverless for querying as well.
Right.
So was this your first choice or, tell us a bit about how you ended up
This was not the first choice.
Okay.
So as like AWS is coming up with lots and lots of services, the challenge comes in selecting the right service for your particular use case.
Okay.
So as I mentioned, our main crux was to keep the cost low.
Okay.
So we realized that this particular information of using Athena or generating billing reports is something which will be used rarely, once a week, or it's like monthly, weekly or monthly reports. That's it. So we are not using it for day-to-day jobs.
That's really clever. Right. So you don't have a database running 24/7 because you need querying capabilities once a week or so, right?
Right. So whenever administrator need to pull out the billing reports, it just goes through this flow, and from Athena, whatever logs have been written from the data ingestion side, so we just pull up those logs and generate reports.
That's great. That's really clever. You mentioned about working in a regulatory environment, so security, needless to say, is a key ask, right?
True.
So tell us a bit about how you're handling security.
Yeah. So you can see Cognito and KMS here. So KMS is an obvious choice where we have to for regulatory guidelines, we have to keep separate keys for all the customers. So all the entities that we have. Yeah. Again, for database is also encrypted. For database also, we need to have keys, and we also need to do key rotation.
Oh, interesting.
So that is where KMS helped us.
Yeah.
And then what happened, we had lots of users. So again, Cognito was not our first choice.
Okay.
So we tried with other options. We even tried managing users on our own in our database. But then after going through doing a POC on Cognito, that was much simpler to use.
Yeah. So you basically realized instead of running your own directory service, leverage Cognito and the user pool functionality.
Right. Yes, identity pools and all we have used here.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, this is really impressive. Plenty of learnings. So what's next? What are you planning to do next with the architecture?
Yeah, as you know, we are working on Industry 4.0 solutions. So we are working a lot with the machine data and all. So which is generating lots of IoT traffic. So we are working on a hybrid solution where part work can be done on-premise, and then part work can be offloaded to cloud for the data analytics and all.
Okay.
And for this, we are planning to adopt your green grass solution. We have, in fact, already started a POC on it.
Okay.
So which will help us in creating this hybrid solution.
Sounds really interesting, and I look forward to know more about that. Thank you very much for coming today and sharing your architecture with us, Tarun.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks.
And thank you for watching This is Markitecture.